So the first answer is gonna sound like a cop-out, but it's not. The first answer is because of God. Like, God made us this way. Now, it sounds like a cop-out, but I believe God made us this way. First and foremost, God can do what he wants to do. But secondly, God made us this way because he understood what would be needed for the dynamic of the relationship of the husband and wife, man and woman, in order for human flourishing. So for example, men throughout history, up until the last 50, 60 or so years, men have always been the providers in history. Men have always been the protectors. Men have always been the leaders. Now, the reason why it was a necessity was because women couldn't really provide for themselves more often than not because they were incapable of working, but typically because they had no way of protecting their funds or finances, because thieves could come and rob them. And also with that, they needed a protector. And aside from women's fathers and brothers, those women had no protection. So they needed husbands to physically protect them. And now with that, on the flip side, a man who is a leader, who is a protector, who is a provider, throughout history, up until recent history, when everything's become more modernized and less crime, less murder, with modern civilization, men had to constantly protect their wives and families from extreme hurt, harm, and danger. Those men who are leading, protecting, providing did not have the time to go back and forth with a wife or a woman or a family that doesn't allow that man to lead, that doesn't allow that man to make the proper decisions he needs to make in order to do his best job with leading. So those men needed wives that would allow them to lead. They needed wives who had submissive hearts. So those men needed submissive wives. They needed women who were feminine, who were gentle, who wouldn't be trying to go back and forth and trying to like nag and everything like that. So that's why I believe God made our biology, our psychology. He created us this way so that men could be able to protect and provide for their families, and so that women could be the best nurturers, be the best lovers, the best helpers, all of that for humankind. Now, this is where it intersects with secularism. And again, secularism is not Satanism or bad. It doesn't mean bad. It just means without God. It intersects because psychology and sociology backs and supports this. Now, what psychology, sociology, and what God do not back and support are men being domineering, are men being tyrannical in their headship or their leadership, or them not ever listening to their wives or asking advice or seeing their wives as equal. Because again, submission does not mean less than. Okay, I'm back with a haircut. So to tie it all together, a secular person, an atheist, a godless person would argue that men and women have evolved to being attracted to what we are attracted to because of these things that are necessities. The same reason is argued that that's why men are typically attracted to a woman with more of a Coke bottle shape and hips and breasts and all of that, because we've evolved. This is what secular society would say. I believe it's God just weaving it within our DNA. But basically, we've evolved into seeing women that look like that as being great for childbearing. We see big breasts as, oh, well, she'll be great for breastfeeding. We see her hips and everything else for thinking, okay, this woman will be able to survive with giving me multiple children. Now, that's not a straightforward way that men typically think, but many argue that that's woven within our psychology, and the way that it's basically a subconscious thing. The same way it's subconscious that women see men who are taller, broader shoulders, bigger, and they say it's subconscious that those women see those men as protectors, that women see those men as being able to guard them. The same reason why they argue that it's woven within women's psychology, that women desire a man who can provide. That's why even today, during modern times, when women are more than capable of providing for themselves, they still crave, the majority of women still crave a man who can either make as much money as them, but more often than not, they still want the man to make more money than them. No matter how much money a woman makes, they still crave a man who can do more, because it's woven into women's biology and their psychology to be attracted to a man who's a provider. Whereas men were not created or evolved to care about that from women, because we've never needed our women to be providers or protectors. And so anyway, I say all of this to say that it's woven within us, whether from creation or some form of evolution and growth through time. It's woven within us to be attracted to what we are attracted to. But in modern times today, unfortunately, people are trying to go against God's design. People are trying to go against our nature, our biology, our psychology. People are trying to go against it because women no longer need men. They don't. Y'all do not need men. Y'all don't need us as providers. Y'all don't need us as protectors. Y'all can get a gun. A gun weighs a couple pounds. And I know some women, I'm a United States Marine, but I know some women that are better shooters than me. Y'all don't need us to lead. Y'all don't need us. And likewise, men don't need to have to do those things. Men don't have to be leaders. We don't have to be protectors. We don't have to be providers in order to still get a woman. Nevertheless, statistics and data shows that when we are in these relationships where the man is making 20%, 30% of the household income, the woman's making all the money, or when women are with men who are weak or meek, or they don't know how to protect, they can't fight, they punks. Statistically, it shows those relationships don't work out. Statistically, it shows when it's dynamics where the woman is more of the leader of the household, those relationships do not work out. Statistically, it's proven women cheat on men. They cheat on their man with men who make more money and men who actually are who are harder, who are more aggressive. Even women who are feminists, it's always proven that when those women end up cheating on their husbands who are meek, who are sweet, who are gentle, those women cheat with men that are more aggressive.